waste any time, and we'll just go ahead and get started. We may have some people trickle in, but thank you, all of you who are here today. Good afternoon and welcome to Prevention and Resiliency's quarterly Safe Streets program. Today we're talking about vaping, and we have some great speakers here for you today. I think you'll walk away learning so much. On your tables, there is a sheet that looks like this, and if you're not familiar with QR codes, one of our PAR staff will be happy to help you, but if you would please be so kind to just sign in by putting your name and email address, we would certainly appreciate it. It helps us for our grant reporting, so we can say how many people are at our events and we know what we need to do and to improve upon. We'll ask you to take a scan later for a survey at the end of the presentation. And also, if you need some resources, there's a number of resources there that you can scan and bookmark as well for later if you would like them. Please make sure you help yourself to refreshments. If you need to use the restroom, it's straight down the hall. There's men's on the left and women's on the right. And we have great partners within our town, and I see so many people in this audience that are partners with our agency in one way or the other, so thank you for being here. We have New Vision and the Shawnee County Health Department set up out on one of the tables out there. They have a ton of resources for you to pick up, as well as some resources from PARS on the other side, so please take time to visit with those ladies or any of our staff if we can be of assistance to you. Today we have 3 presenters that will be able to share information about vaping that we hope is relevant, important, and possibly helps you in advocating for the people in your life and community. We have Ariel Kelly from DECA, who's going to be coming up here in a minute, Chief Sam Ralston from Auburn-Washburn USD 437, and Alexandra Poling, who is a recent graduate of Washburn Rural 2022 and current Baker University student. They all have great information to share with you, and I really don't want to take any time at all away from their presentations. So Ariel, would you just come on up? Use this, or you can use this if you prefer. And then the clicker's right there.
All right, can you guys hear me okay? Yes. Okay, perfect. So my name is Ariel Kelly. I work for DECA. I'm a community support specialist. I've actually been there 2 months now, so I'm fairly new, and this is actually my first presentation with DECA, so I'm excited but a little nervous. So hopefully I do a good job. And I'm going to talk to you guys about vaping today. So I'm just going to start off real quick just talking about DECA, who we are and what we do. So DECA is a nonprofit agency that provides human services with the goal of enriching and improving the quality of life for adults, youth, and children. We provide residential and outpatient behavioral health care, fostering adoption services, family prevention services, traffic safety, substance misuse prevention for the state of Kansas. I personally work on the prevention team, and we have been around for almost 50 years. We have locations in Lawrence, Topeka, Kansas City, Wichita, Pratt, Pittsburgh, Iowa, and Oklahoma. So today I'm just going to talk to you guys about 4 things: facts about nicotine and vapes, information about health and effects of nicotine use, the impact of tobacco industry's marketing, and some available resources. So there are many types of commercial tobacco products on the market, including loose leaf plug, chewing tobacco, hookahs, cigars, cigarillos, cigarettes, and the one I'm going to be focusing on today is vapes. These tobacco products are the most popular with young people today. Vapes come in many shapes and sizes, as you can see in the photo above. On the top left, those are what are called cigalikes, and those used to be very popular, but they're just not as popular today as they used to be. On the top right, you will see that those are called mid-size vapes. The bottom left, those are called tanks and mods. And on the bottom right, those are the most popular vapes today with youth, and those are called pod mods. These products are constantly evolving, and they come in a ton of different shapes and sizes, and many devices are designed to look like everyday items, which can look like pens, smartwatches, hoodies, backpacks, you can think of. If you look at the diagram here next to the vapes, it shows how a vaping device works. The battery powers the device, and the coils then heat up the solution. The liquid solution then becomes an aerosol, and the aerosol is inhaled by the user. The aerosol contains propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, nicotine, nicotine, organic compounds, ultra-fine particles, cancer-causing chemicals. It even contains heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. So why is nicotine addicting? When specifically speaking about the harm of nicotine as it pertains to teens and young adults, they are most at risk for addiction. We have a part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of a multitude of things such as decision making, emotion regulation, impulse control, etc. And it isn't fully developed until your mid-20s. So when we expose our brains to substances like nicotine, we are essentially rewiring our brain to make ourselves more at risk for mood disorders or permanently lowering our impulse control and developing substance use disorders and or addiction into our adulthood. It's important for teens to know that nicotine use can vastly impact their physical and mental health. People often refer to substances as self-medicating. What they are trying to say is that some teens might vape to help themselves feel better when they are suffering from a mental health disorder. Self-medicating is not an official medical term, but it does help explain why some teens experiment with drugs and alcohol. Teens think vaping might help, but in reality, what the nicotine is doing is giving them that instant gratification, and it's causing more damage down the line. And like I talked about before, nicotine can change the way that your brain works, making it more likely that you will experience mental health challenges. So even though we might be tempted to use drugs and alcohol to cope with our mental health issues, there are a lot of effective ways to take care of your mental health without damaging our brains and our bodies with substances. So with this slide, here are just some signs that you or someone you may know might be experiencing with nicotine withdrawal. Some symptoms include feeling restless or jittery, sweating. They might feel down or sad, tired or groggy, having trouble sleeping, and they might have an intense craving for e-cigarettes. There are many health effects associated with vaping. Some short-term impacts include irritated lungs, eyes, throat, and that's from the exposure to the chemicals in the aerosol. They can experience a dry mouth or a dry cough, decreased immune system, which then will lead them to, it makes it easier for them to get the cold or the flu. Some long-term impacts, someone can develop an addiction, lung damage, asthma, popcorn lung, tooth decay, or gum disease. That's why it's important that we work together to prevent vaping among young people and get those who are already addicted the support that they need to quit. The marketing of vapes. Now, we can't underestimate the power of the tobacco industry. To put that into perspective, cigarettes are the only legal consumer product that, when used as intended, it will kill half of its longtime users. So if the tobacco industry is selling a product that is killing half of its longtime users, then that means they need more people to start using nicotine. That's why they target young people to get the next generation of users addicted and ultimately make more money. Well, how do they do this? There are several reasons how they do that, and one of the reasons is using flavors. Youth and young adults use flavored tobacco products a lot more than any other age group. Additionally, flavor products are often the first products youth and young adults use. In 2019, 68.8% of current e-cigarette users reported using flavored products. Another way that they advertise their products is with social media, social influencers, celebrities, and according to the World Health Organization, nicotine and tobacco companies have strategically used digital and social media platforms to reach younger generations, including their favorite apps and video games. Social media platforms allow users to interact with marketing features, which increases the exposure to influence children and adolescents. They also have various products, like I've mentioned before. There are a ton of easily concealable vaping products on the market. Vaping devices look like things such as key fobs, pens, hoodies, and many more that we probably don't even know of yet. But if you're over the age of 21, why would you need to hide your vaping product when you can legally buy it? The answer is you wouldn't. So it's clear that these products are being targeted towards teens. Another marketing tactic that these companies like to use is they will promote their e-cigarettes as reduced risk or smoke-free or socially acceptable, when that's just not the case. So what if my teen vapes? First off, it's important to know the signs. If you're smelling sweet or fruity or menthol smells around you, if you're noticing unfamiliar chargers, coils, or batteries, maybe they're spending more money than usual, they have a change in their attitude, maybe getting frequent headaches or nausea. If you do suspect that your teen is vaping, it's important to provide support. That's absolutely critical. You can sit down with them and have a simple conversation. It's important that you listen and just try and continue to learn more. If they are trying to quit, it's also really important to just keep encouraging them and celebrate any successes that they have along the way, and even accept any setbacks that they might have, because quitting nicotine is definitely a difficult thing. And you can also even involve your teen's pediatrician, and they could talk to them about vaping. Oops, what did I do? Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. So what can schools do? Schools should consider adopting a tobacco-free policy that includes all types of tobacco products, including e-cigarettes for all students, staff members, anyone on school grounds or in school vehicles or at any school-sponsored event. These policies have been proven to be effective in preventing youth tobacco. KDHE has an awesome tobacco-free school toolkit, and for more information, you can visit the KDHE website and type in vape-free schools. Sharing resources on tobacco prevention with administrators to spread the word on any of the school's social media, on the website, or an email announcement to parents. It's also important that you educate teachers, coaches, nurses, counselors, custodians, so that way they can tell the different e-cigarettes and vaping products, what they look like. And that's really important because they're changing all the time. So it's super important to inform all of the staff members at the school. And even posting just no tobacco signs and reminding everybody at sporting events that tobacco and vaping is not allowed. Using suspension and expulsion to penalize tobacco use are actually counterproductive and harmful due to tobacco targeted marketing. Strategies such as individual or group counseling intensive educational programs and peer-to-peer programs are a lot more effective in supporting students' attempt to quit. And there are several programs available at livefreetobacco.org as well. So what can some teens do? They can join a Resist chapter, and that is statewide youth-led movement that advocates for the denormalization of tobacco use among youth and united communities to create one voice against the tobacco industry. It's super easy to start up. You just need 2 or more students, grades 6 to 12, and just 1 adult companion. And the team will get together, they will get trained in taking down tobacco, and they will hold at least 1 awareness event about tobacco prevention in their community every year. They can also make sure that their friends, they're encouraging them to quit and encourage them to talk to a parent or a friend or just any adult in their life, and even offer to go with them to have that conversation. Or you can encourage them to get treatment or access any resource that is available to them. So there are many things that you can do to cope with stress and other mental health conditions that don't involve substance use. And this slide shows you some healthy coping mechanisms. You can take time to exercise, get 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night, avoid drinking and using other drugs. You can keep your caffeine intake low. And it's also important to spend time outside and just absorb some vitamin D, because that's been proven to be a great natural mood booster. And then this slide is just some resources for quitting if anybody's interested. But that is my last slide. Thank you.
Ariel literally got thrown into this 2 days ago, so that was pretty remarkable for your first presentation, Ariel. Good job. We're proud of you. A pretty great audience. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Ralston from the Auburn-Washburn School District to share his box of paraphernalia and just all kinds of great information with you from his perspective in the school district. Chief.
I consider it the box of fun. It's never fun for anyone to get started with it. So thank you for having me. Thanks for asking me to be here. I will probably move around, so I am sorry for whoever's. Is that okay? Use the wireless mic? Okay. Is that better? Okay. So thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. My name is Sam Ralston. Like she said, I am the Chief of Police for the Auburn-Washburn School District. I'm in my 7th year there as the chief, my 13th year in the schools as a school resource officer, and my 18th year as a police officer overall. When I first came into the schools, we started looking at electronic cigarettes, and they were pretty rudimentary at that time. That was in 2010, and they were a lot easier to spot because, like she said before, they were much larger, or they were rudimentary, looked like the cigarette that we saw. These mods were far more common back in the day, and the evolution of them has been nothing short of remarkable. Whenever we develop ways to detect them in schools, it seems that they evolve into a different form. It doesn't help that there's thousands of flavor combinations out there, so when we're trying to figure out what are we smelling, well, here's a new scent in the hallway. It's rather uncommon, at least I believe, to see 10 to 20 people enter a bathroom at one time during a 5-minute passing period. That, by far, I think, is the greatest indicator that something's going on in that bathroom that we need to take a look at. And it's increased over the years. We've gone from 10 years ago, where we would have a handful of vaping occurrences each semester, to where now, here we are a couple months into the school year, and we're averaging 5 to 10 a week that we are catching. And we don't catch them all. We try to be everywhere we can, but there's a small amount of time in each passing period, and we tend to look at our highly trafficked areas and concentrate on them throughout that time. Now, like I said, the evolution of them, I just saw a couple new ones this week that were new to me that I hadn't seen in the schools yet. This one here looks like a nice little bottle to drink from, and had a student on Friday that brought that to school with them and was using that in the bathroom when one of our administrators happened to walk in that bathroom and they were blowing smoke out. Pretty good indicator someone's using a vape at that time. Well, let me just get right down to this here. This makes it easier. This box, forgive me for everyone sitting here. That box represents 1 year of vapes in our school. And this year there'll be more. It used to be that I kept every single one of them until I got that box, and I thought, well, I'm just going to keep the ones that are new and different, because I was quickly losing storage space in my closet. It's unfortunate that we see so much of it, but given the fact that it's easily concealable for students, and it's readily available both online and in stores here in Shawnee County that don't have a problem selling to minors, don't have a problem selling to a senior that's 18, even though we've got 21 years of age here in the county and the city. They're so available for our kids that every day we're finding more and more. It's very frustrating because we've learned what the damage it can do to the human body. And so what I focus on with these kiddos that I speak to about vaping is figuring out their why. Why are they doing it? Over half of them do it because they wanted to try it. But that's when they're younger. And they're becoming younger and younger as years go on. More often than not, once we get past the ones that want to try it, well, I can't concentrate in class without it. And it keeps me hyper-focused, keeps me awake, and I get this rush when I use it. And so we have students that will use it a couple times an hour. We have some that use it in class. In classrooms, they are far more clever about their method of concealment. Some will use just their sweatshirt, and they'll have their vape in their sleeve of their sweatshirt, inhale, and then they blow it inside their sweatshirt to dissipate that vapor. They've even gone to the lengths of having this is one we took off a student at our school, a toilet paper tube packed with dryer sheets with a hair tie around it, so that when they vaped, they could blow into this, and not only would you not see vapor, but all you would smell is bounce or whatever fabric softener or dryer sheet that this is. So even taking the smell factor away from it makes it more difficult for our folks. Now, every year we talk to our staff at each building about vaping, about current trends, what we see with kiddos, so that we can better equip them to deal with it, to help spot it in their class, to notice when they've got someone leaving to go to the bathroom multiple times in class or every day during their hour. And when they talk to their colleagues, well, that student may have left every class throughout the day once or twice to go to the bathroom. And that's when they get on our radar. At the high school, we have over 150 cameras, both inside and out, on the football stadium, pretty much everywhere. And we have a dedicated individual that's what he does, is look at cameras. And we have a set of cameras that is just outside of those bathrooms, so we can look at traffic flows. Gives us an idea of what's going on. So during class times or during passing period, what I hear on the radio the most is, go to this bathroom. There's a group of boys that just went in. There's 15 girls. And there's times 10, 20, even more kids come out of those bathrooms. And it's rather difficult to figure out which one of them has the vape. So by educating our staff members, they're able to watch their own students a little more closely so that we can help them out and get them to stop using these products. In vapes, we are not just talking about tobacco. We are more and more talking about marijuana, THC. And this is one of the most common ones that we see at school. They call this a cart more often than not, the kiddos do. And it's very simple. It's just like a vape. It has the battery, it has the atomizer, it heats up and turns the liquid into a vapor, and they inhale it. They don't have the same smells as much as regular vapes do, but they also don't smell like marijuana. So the days of being able to smell, a hallway away, you can smell the marijuana coming from that bathroom are over, by and large. We very rarely anymore see raw green marijuana in the schools. It is in the form of vapes. And that's concerning because we have kiddos that have gone from a regular vape into THC because I want to see what that does. And they will pass it around in a bathroom. And a few times we've had students that were in that bathroom with a group of kids and they passed around a vape or a dab pen for using marijuana, and it came around to them and they didn't realize it was marijuana, that it had THC in it, and they used it, and then 30 minutes later they're in the nurse's office because they can't figure out why they feel this way. They're very lethargic, or depending on what strain of it, they could be very, very energized and alert, but still loopy. And they don't know how to process that because they've never felt that way before. Well, when we back it up and look at who all was in there, and we get that vape off of that student, okay, well, it was a marijuana vape. And now this student has been exposed to drugs unknowingly. They just wanted to hit a vape because maybe they used tobacco vapes, but they've never used a marijuana one. And that is becoming more and more of a trend that we have at school. In fact, just this week, just a second here. Just this week, and in fact just yesterday, I took these two vapes off of a student. They look, especially this one, like an old school Juul that is a disposable tobacco vape that's very common to see. Both of these are marijuana vapes. When they were taken off of the student in the bathroom, at first glance, thought, oh, it's a couple tobacco vapes. Until we look at the consistency of the liquid inside. The THC vapes will have a far more syrupy consistency. They're thicker, they move slower, less viscosity, and so it's easier to spot in that regard. These make it easy because they say THC on one side. This one's called Canopoly, play on words, and the other one has the California symbol because it was sold in California. Through tracking where these came from, we've been able to see that they are being sold online on the dark web to folks here in Kansas who are then in turn selling them to people on the street level. And they're making their way into our schools. And whatever school your loved ones, nieces, nephews, your kids, grandkids go to, if they're in a high school, I guarantee you they've got that same issue. The very first school I was in was Santa Fe Trail down in Osage County. Loved it, go Chargers. And when I got there in 2010, we didn't really have much of a problem at all, or so we thought, until we started being hypervigilant in the hallways, which was pretty easy because there was about 4 hallways, and they all connected in a big square, so it was much easier. We started being hypervigilant during our passing periods and taking a look at traffic patterns in and out of the bathrooms, which was really bathroom, so it made it even easier than that. And we noticed a trend in an uptick as that year went on of frequency of kids going in and out of the bathroom. And through doing spot checks, making sure we go in after a student came out, we'd start to smell the fruitiness of the vape. And we knew that before that student went in, it didn't smell like that, and after them it did. And that's when we started to see the mods and the early types of vapes. So we can't kid ourselves and think that we don't have problems when it comes to vaping in our schools, because they're everywhere. We see them on the middle school level. And we've even had instances in our elementary schools where 5th and 6th graders have been caught vaping. We've gone out, we do a lot of education with our students. I believe that the more we can help them understand the dangers, the more we talk about it and are less afraid to speak about these things, the more successful we will be. And the earlier we can catch them, the better. We speak every semester in our health classes about vaping. We speak about drugs, traffic, driving, seatbelts, all that good stuff. But a major point is vaping. We speak to our younger kids in the elementary buildings and in the middle school. We have folks that go out and speak to those kiddos about the dangers of vaping, what it can do to their body, especially when we have kiddos that are already suffering from asthma when they're younger. Or maybe they're athletes and they have a reason not to do it. That gives them a reason not to do it if you educate them and they understand the danger that it's going to do to their body. But it's frustrating. Today, we seized 3 vapes just in the high school. I didn't check with the middle school this afternoon to see if they had any, but 3 just today. So it's not getting any better. I'd like to believe we're getting better at finding them, but ultimately it's up to groups like this that provide resources to folks in the county and Northeast Kansas that can help our kiddos become healthier, to help them understand that they don't need this in their system. The person that's never used it and does it for finals week because they know it'll get them going because a buddy of theirs said, hey, I used this in finals last semester and I was rocking it. If we educate them, I firmly believe the majority of our kiddos will understand the dangers and take that into consideration when they choose to go in that bathroom with other students. Some will not, but we have to try, and we owe it to them to do our very best to get them all the most current information in our schools so that they can make an informed decision on their own. And we will continue to do that, not only in our district, but every district in Kansas does their level best to help kiddos out when it comes to vaping, the dangers, and how widespread they are. I'll leave you with this. Last semester, in the spring, I had a student, a freshman, that we had found in the bathroom with a vape. This is a student that I had spoken to multiple times throughout the year, developed a good rapport with. And so I brought that student into my office and we talked. And I said, why are you doing this? I don't know, it tastes good. Okay, so what does it do for you? Well, when I get to school, I'm really tired. And I use it, and I get that bump of energy, that rush. And so then I just use it every hour, and I keep that rush going all day. So that we talked about the dangers. We talked about what it could do to his body. And we found other ways to help that student be successful. Found other ways to help them stay awake and energized throughout the day. We looked at breaks, get up in class, stand up, get your blood flowing, sit down, came up with some really good strategies for them. And that can be multiplied throughout the schools. We just have to talk to our kids, both at home and in the school, in order to help them be more successful and fight this plague that we have in our schools. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chief, for sharing that information. I'm sure that he would let you take a look at some of the different devices that he has. It's really interesting. There's kind of something for everyone. And
Everyone take one home.
he's joking. It is now time for Miss Alexandra Poling to come up, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the perspective of a young person and what she's experienced as a person coming out of high school and starting into the college environment and the Resist chapters. So, Alexandra.
Thank you for having me. I don't know if that is. So my name's Alexandra Poling. I just graduated from Washburn Rural in the spring, and I'm currently at Baker University. And I've been a part of this statewide Resist Council since I was an 8th grader. So I've been a part of this for like a long time. And it's just been something that I've really loved doing, being able to talk to people and try to make the world obviously better. So this is the Resist logo. It's been recently updated, so you might have seen the old one. This is like our mission statement, and it's specific to Kansas, but there are lots of programs in other states that we've worked with as well. And this is the map of all the different chapters as of 2022. So each of those little hands, whichever one you're looking at, is a specific chapter. So there are lots of chapters all across the state of youth working towards tobacco prevention. So this is from a 2020 study or statistic like survey that 22% of Kansas high schoolers vape. As Chief Ralston mentioned, like bathrooms are a really big part of this. I was scared to go to the bathroom my senior year of high school. It was a scary place. And also the bus, like a bus ride, it's also extremely not fun. We'll just put it that way. And the bathrooms get so crowded, and again, like that smell, and you just know why everybody's in there, but there isn't much you can do, and you can't go to the bathroom, so you have to like find ways around that. We also, from that same study, these are all Kansas-specific numbers. So 44% of students who vape report depression symptoms, compared to only 26% of students who don't vape. So people who vape do present these symptoms more. Similarly, 54% of students who vape have attempted to quit. So we see that oftentimes they realize that vaping is bad. It's not something that they want to do. It's most of the time they realize it's bad and they want to find a way to quit, but it's very difficult to do because of the addiction. And then also 30% of students who vape have considered suicide, compared to only 12% of students who don't vape. I don't know if you guys know this, but school is really stressful. And it's just something that is kind of how it is. But vaping is often seen, as we mentioned, as a reason people vape. There's also the fact that it's considered safer than cigarettes. There are the fun flavors with the marketing, and then also a lot of people do it because of their friends and family. Some tobacco marketing things that we specifically focus on, obviously it's working towards, like they claim it's to help smokers quit, when it really doesn't do that in many ways. It's actually, like most people, like if you start vaping and then they might even get into smoking because of how that one makes them feel. Again, targeting youth, and then specifically flavor-wise, menthol, there's the documentary Black Lives, Black Lungs, that specifically goes into the racism of the menthol flavor within the tobacco industry. That's really interesting, and these are all things that go around. And then obviously the mental health aspect of it. A lot of people start vaping to deal with stress, or they do it because of peer pressure. Obviously the withdrawal is gonna increase that anxiety that you're already feeling because of school. And then the addiction that you get from it just distracts you from school even more. And especially if you get like expelled or just put on like a suspension, you're gonna fall back into a hole, and that's just gonna make it even worse at school, just making it even more stressful, which then leads people to start vaping more because they think that's what's helping them, when in reality it's what's causing the problem. And addiction itself is considered a mental illness. So what can schools do so we can support students? Specifically, the program we promote is My Life, My Quit. It is free and confidential, and it's for youth. I believe to ages 12 to 17. I believe you guys have a flyer at your tables. So this is the one that specifically is recommended that we promote through the Resist program. And there are other ones, but this is the one that we, like I said, promote. It's free and confidential, which is what most students need. They don't want to being forced into a program themselves isn't necessarily what's best for them, because that sense of responsibility that they get from doing it themselves and going through that aspect. So just some things that resist that we do. So each year we have Take Down Tobacco Day at the Kansas Capitol. So here are some highlights from this past year's. So we gather people from all those different chapters from that map earlier, and they all come to Topeka, and we stay at the Cyrus Hotel, which is really nice. We love that hotel. And so Johnson County started a program called End the Trend that uses the be a goat, not a guinea pig, because guinea pigs are test subjects and goats are greatest of all time. So this year at the Capitol, we do a little march with like posters, and we take this picture on the Capitol steps, and I don't know if you can really see it in the photo, but we have 3 goats, a mom and a baby goat, and they were the cutest. And just like doing that, like we told all the people like in the Capitol, like, hey, we have goats outside if you want to go see them. They were the cutest thing, because the baby goats are just so fun. And so that was something really interesting, and it is, and the trend has become something that's like well known in like tobacco prevention circles, like in a lot of places, and it started in Johnson County. Again, at the Cyrus Hotel, we make posters. We walk to the Capitol from there because it is a close walk, and it's also just a really great networking opportunity. We have like presenters talk to us about different aspects, and then we get to meet people from all over the state that do the same things as we do and work in tobacco prevention. And it's so cool just to see all these people coming together to support the same cause. And then each year we do a rally, so we all give, a handful of us give speeches in the Capitol, and then we have meetings with our representatives. We talk about different policies that either are current, like on the agenda for, or like there's a House bill sometimes that will be, or a Senate bill that we'll specifically be discussing, but we don't always have something specific. I know this year we talked specifically about preemption, but so the Resist Council is something that we work towards. It's again super easy to start up in a school. We have middle school groups, we have high school groups, and we have some like outside of school groups, other communities like Boys and Girls Clubs or other community groups like that. So it's just something I've been really blessed to be a part of. It's been super exciting, and it's been really helpful just even when talking to my friends, because I don't want to just go up to people who vape and tell them you're doing something terrible. You have to approach it as a friend, and you have to make sure they understand why you're doing it. And just being in this big group of people has been really helpful in learning about all these different things and being able to do that. This year, we also, the Kauffman Museum has a traveling vapes exhibit that goes over a lot of the marketing things. It's really cool. I personally love it because I want to work in museums when I get a job, I guess. I don't know. Once I graduate college and different things. But it's this traveling museum, and it goes around to different places. You can like have it, you can book it for different places. So we got it to the Capitol in the rotunda, and that was really cool. We were able to tell our representatives all about it, and they all were able to come down and see it, and it's really cool. And it, like I said, it travels to a lot of different places, and it has like a schedule, and it's really neat, and it just has all of these cool information. Seeing that physically rather than just reading it on a paper or online is really interesting. These like light up little graphs are like so cool, and just those little aspects were really helpful in getting our information across. So thank you. The first is the Resist Instagram and Facebook if you're interested in seeing what we do. But yeah, thank you for having me.
I don't know that I could have done that as a college freshman. I'm having trouble as somebody my age. So I'll now open it up to questions for anyone that you may have for our speakers about any of the topics that they presented. I can bring the mic to anyone. Speakers, questions?
Hi, Carol from KDHE. The question is for the chief. So a couple of questions. What is the school district's policy on tobacco use? And then how are the parents informed or involved once you confiscate this stuff and you catch the student? How does that?
So the school, their discipline policy is that if you are in possession of a vaping device or just tobacco in general, whether it be smokeless tobacco, cigarettes, cigarillos, whatever, is that you are assigned a 3-hour detention, and there's 3 points. So we have discipline points at Washburn Rural that when you get to a certain level of points, you can be referred for a long-term suspension. I think what's most important in our policy is the ability to educate in those moments. And that's where we bring the parents in. We speak to the parents, the administrator does, and a lot of times I'll speak to parents or one of my officers will speak to them and discuss what we found, where they were at, and what their student told us about why they do it, so that we can forge that partnership with the parent to hopefully help that kiddo be successful. But they have set in stone discipline policies when it comes to the tobacco.
Other questions before I give it back to Carol to ask some more? Gavin?
My question is also for the chief. Sorry. So since we know of like a lot of the places that kids are obtaining vapes, like at Valero's and other gas stations, what is our police doing to get those places like shut down? I mean, is there any active investigations? Do you know of anything?
There are always active investigations into businesses that supply nicotine products along with alcohol to minors. There are state-level investigations and local that look into those. What we do is try to help, like the Topeka Police Department, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office, to understand, hey, we've identified this gas station as one that sells to minors. Or we've been told that this station is, so keep them under, keep an eye on them. So we do work together both with our local partners and on the state level to identify areas of opportunity for improvement within our business districts. Yeah.
Thank you.
Back to Carol.
Another one. Okay. Okay, tobacco-free policies related to students. What about visitors, so forth, on the grounds? Is there anything in relation to that?
We are a tobacco-free campus, and when we encounter someone on our campus that is either smoking or is vaping, we will politely ask them to not do that while on campus. We have no legal right to confiscate their items. As a juvenile that is under the age where they can legally possess these items, we do confiscate them. But as an adult, I have no legal right to confiscate that. We just ask that they don't do that on campus.
Do you have signage as well? We have free signage, by the way.
Yes, we do, and I'll be glad to take more. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and we're glad to get it out, for sure. Other question, one other question. I would imagine, though, that the marijuana you're finding, that's just straight to the law enforcement, because that's truly moves it up a notch.
When it comes to the marijuana, the dab pens, and those regular marijuana vapes, we're fortunate in our district to have a full-service law enforcement agency. We are also blessed to have a deputy sheriff from the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. They're a fantastic partner for us that is in our building at the high school. So when we have a situation with a marijuana product, we try to backtrace that. Where did that come from? And hopefully that student that's involved will give us that information. Sometimes it's just not that day. So we'll speak to them later when they've had a little bit of separation from the incident, because that can be traumatizing. You get caught with marijuana in school, and it's huge. So we try to talk to those folks and find out where it came from, and then take it back step by step. Okay, who did you get this from? Who did they get it from? Who did they get it from? To try to find the source. But every case is different as to how far back we can get with it.
Other questions?
I will give you a part 2 on that. When it comes to enforcement of drug laws in Kansas, and even on the nicotine products in schools, I have found that in the last 13 years, by and large, we can gain a lot more ground through education and mentoring than we can with charging with crimes. Charging a crime to a juvenile, again, in my opinion, for a lot of those cases, I see it as taking a plastic bottle and throwing it in the garbage can. I think I'm signaling that I don't care about you. Whereas if we take that bottle and recycle it, we're investing in the future. And we want to invest in our students to help them be successful. So through educating them, helping their families, sometimes finding treatment resources, we are far more successful and help build successful adults than I believe we'd ever see with just charging everybody with crime. We can, but what does that help that kid? What?
I think incorporating the treatment into the your enforcement piece, so it's just not suspension, you go home and you do it at home. But yeah, incorporating that, I think would be really helpful.
Absolutely, I agree.
I think this is for you. I don't know. Okay, so we were talking earlier about how kids self-medicate. Do you refer also to Vallejo? Because, I mean, that's been happening for years, that a lot of the kids are self-medicating and they don't actually know what is wrong with them or what's going on and stuff like that.
We have tremendous mental health resources in our school community, and we partner with them, both our social workers, counselors, school psych in each building. And when it comes to that piece, that's right in their wheelhouse. So we lean on them to assist us. And again, they can work with those families and find resources outside of the district, Vallejo, things like that, family service and guidance, and help those kids.
Additionally, I would add that we at Prevention and Resiliency Services are resources as well. We do drug and alcohol evaluations at our agency and primarily serve as a referral to other resources. But Sarah Coates is our LMSW LMAC-T, about to be the official. And she is a very experienced social worker that can get kids in, adults in, and evaluated and referred pretty promptly. And so we're always here and ready to take those appointments and get families in as quickly as we can to be a resource for folks in our community. You may have already known that. Other questions? Well, I would just thank you all for coming out today and being a part of this. A big part of what we do is education and helping people to understand the risk and dangers, and also to help them make healthier choices for their lives. We all are invested in making Topeka a healthier place, and it does take every single one of us. And I know that there's partners in this room that have really taken advantage of working together to further the good work that we do. So I thank you, and some of you know who you are in this room, and we're here if you need us. Please reach out. As we wrap up, I just want to ask if you could just give our speakers another round of applause real quick. They were great. And then we are fully committed to making these educational opportunities the best for our community and meaningful and helpful to those of you who are here. So please, if you have not yet had a chance, scan that middle QR and take a quick survey. It's 10 questions. It's super easy. Be honest with us. Give us all the feedback. We want to make sure that this is a very good resource for you. Also, please stop and visit with our partners that are here. Help yourself to any resources that are in the hallway, another bottle of water, a couple cookies on your way out. And know that the resources are here, and Eric will also be sending those out via email as well. I want to make sure I covered everything. There's some great lock boxes out there as well if you need one, if you haven't already obtained one for your family. So thank you again for being here, and we hope to see you at our next event, which will probably be shortly after the first of the year. So have a great night.